Let's talk about something called Panda. And you probably won't know what Panda is unless you've been around SEO for a while. Panda was the code name for arguably the most dramatic update that Google ever launched. Now, Google started launching dramatic updates in 2003. As a matter of fact, I remember that very well. They launched an update called Florida, and it totally eviscerated one of my most important websites. And it took us over a year, well, not over, almost a year for me working with that client to try to recover from Florida. And that was sort of like the opening of a door for this is going to be your life, paying attention to Google updates. I just didn't know it would go on for 2 decades. So in 2011, Google rolled out this update. And originally they didn't call it Panda, bit of trivia here. They called it the Farmer Update. And you'll know why in a moment. It's no coincidence that Panda was focused on content because it was designed to put content farms out of business. Get it? Farmer update. So its goal was to reward well-written content because Google knew even then searchers want quality. They want those shelves in that store to be stocked with desirable merchandise. Now, this is the blog post that Google released on February 24th. It's still up on their site, on their legacy site, about the Panda update. And it's basically, you can see where the date is, and it basically discusses how this Panda update is to try to encourage people to write content. This was very critical, and the reason I'm bringing it up is because in their blog posts at the time, they gave us the key as to how we could get content to perform well, and it's the exact same formula in essence. It's not really a formula, but the exact same manner of thinking about content that Google is emphasizing today. So it's a long-standing priority of Google's. Now, at the time, Search Engine Academy was immediately training about this. The first, when I went and did my instructor training with Search Engine Academy, it was fall of 2011 with the late Mike Marshall. And even then, SEA was teaching a 6-step outline for how to succeed in search. And notice what steps 2 and 3 are. The first was to write content for the human reader. And then the second was a mild rewrite for the search engine robots. And here's what we were saying. The reason we write for the reader first is so we can focus on creating high quality, keep that in mind, remember that phrase, useful content that reads well and contains a value for your audience. So in step 3, still quoting from our training material at that time. So in step 3, we simply rewrite it for the sake of the search engine robots. This 2-step approach makes the job much easier. Now let's fast forward a little bit. And we can see that the most recent major Google update, called the Helpful Content Update, is about the same thing, basically. And when I read this post here about the what they call their Helpful Content Update, I thought, well, basically, this is just Panda all over again. And it doesn't show that they launched Panda and then dropped Panda and then reinstated it. It's been Panda all along, and they just keep finding ways to make it better and better. So in here, you'll see that this was very recent. This just dates from August of 2022. And the same thing that we've been teaching for 10 years is put people first. And then notice, avoid creating content for search engine first. People first approach does not invalidate SEO. So that's, all very interesting. But of course, if you're a little like me, you might be wondering, why are you going down memory lane like this? What's the point? Well, there's 2 reasons. The selfish one, I want to plug our own training and show you how it was ahead of the time. that was before I was producing training, just made me a believer in Search Engine Academy training. But more importantly, this is the key point. It shows you how to future-proof your website content. Now, if you read a lot or even some of SEO literature, you'll see that Google does lots of updates. And at the time they released the Panda update, they said they had made 500 updates. Well, now their most recent statement on their updates was that in 2021, they made over 5,000 changes to their search algorithm. So we get the sort of the impression at times that we've got to constantly be changing. It is true we've got to constantly be paying attention and refining, but Google is never going to shift this core part of its philosophy, at least not in any foreseeable way. This core part of its philosophy is so important that if you spend, let's say, 80% of your time getting this right, you know that 3, 4, 5 years from now, it will still be right, as long as you keep your content fresh and relevant and accurate. And we'll talk about how you can do that. And one of the ways to know how to do that is first to pay attention to how Google evaluates content.